Now, Hume had an excuse for his abject failure. The probability calculus hadn't yet been developed in his day. But today, New Testament theologians no longer have any excuse for using such demonstrably fallacious reasoning. Now, Dr. Ehrman has already shown himself to have the scholarly objectivity to reverse himself on the power of the empirical evidence. But in this case, a reversal of his position is mathematically obligatory. And I hope that the same scholarly objectivity that led him to reverse himself with respect to those 4 facts will now also lead him to rethink his opposition to the resurrection hypothesis. Now, in my few remaining minutes, let me return to that first contention and deal with Dr. Ehrman's responses there. He said that there are a sort of wish list that he would offer for historical sources, and that the Gospels are not as good as we would want. Well, let me simply say that this wish list is so idealistic as to be practically irrelevant to the work of the practicing historian. The only purpose that it serves is the psychological purpose of setting the bar so unrealistically high that the Gospels appear to fall short by comparison. In fact, however, no sources for ancient history measure up to this wish list. And the New Testament documents, I think, do fulfill 4 out of the 6 in his list unproblematically, and the other 2 partially. So the real question is, not are they as good as we would like, but are they good enough to establish those 4 facts? And they certainly are. What about all the inconsistencies? Well, remember I said you'd have to show 3 things to put this argument through. First, that they're irresolvable. Second, that they lie at the heart of the narrative rather than in the details, which in fact they do. And thirdly, you'd have to show that all of the documents are an equal claimed historical credibility, since inconsistencies in a later, less reliable source doesn't undermine an earlier, more credible source. So I don't think that really he's shown that these things, these inconsistencies, invalidate the narratives. In fact, when you look at them, the Gospels all agree that Jesus of Nazareth was crucified in Jerusalem by Roman authority during the Passover feast, having been arrested and convicted on charges of blasphemy by the Jewish Sanhedrin, and then slandered before the Roman governor Pilate on charges of treason. He died within several hours and was buried Friday afternoon by Joseph of Arimathea in a tomb, which was sealed with a stone. Certain women followers of Jesus, including Mary Magdalene, who is always named, having observed his interment, visited his tomb early on Sunday morning, only to find it empty. Thereafter, Jesus appeared alive from the dead to his disciples, including Peter, who then became proclaimers of the message of his resurrection. All 4 Gospels attest to all of those facts. More details could be added simply by including facts mentioned in 3 of the Gospels, 3 out of the 4. And as I say, the bottom line is that Dr. Ehrman himself admits now, since 2003, that despite the inconsistencies, these 4 facts are historical. In fact, N.T. Wright, at the end of his massive study of the resurrection narratives, states that the empty tomb and appearances have a historical probability which is so high as to be virtually certain, like the death of Augustus in AD 14 or the fall of Jerusalem in AD 70. That is incredible. So I think that the debate really isn't over these facts. The question is the best explanation of the facts. And the objection that Professor Ehrman offers is not the objection of a historian. This is not a historical argument. This is a philosophical argument which is based upon a misunderstanding of the probabilities involved. Once that is cleared up, I see no reason at all why one cannot infer on the basis of the historical evidence that Jesus of Nazareth rose from the dead.